Hey everyone, this is Josh and you're watching Scattercraft. So you have a cool cave encounter planned for your players, but a few hours before they arrive you realize you don't have any cave terrain set pieces. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how to make some quick and easy cave terrain pieces in no time that'll amaze your players. And it's not going to take a Proxon or any fancy tools to do it. Let me show you. Alright, so I'm going to start with a 2-inch piece of foam here, and I'm cutting it 2-inch wide as well, so I get a nice 2x2 rectangle. I don't want these to be too tall, so 4.5 inches looks about right for the height here. And now I'm just going to start carving in my basic shape. I'm kind of making this up as I go, and you don't want them all to be the same. If you make different ones and they're all varying, you can get a great look or use them for different purposes. I'm just going to do some finer details, get rid of some of these sharp lines. Then I'm just going to start breaking out edges to give it a more natural look. There we go, and I'm just going to fine up some of those edges as well. I'm also going to start breaking out some of the center to give that a more natural look as well. With a blade like this, you can't get it in perfectly straight, but if it's got a little curve to it, it looks okay. So I'll go ahead and carve this up for a while until I get a look that I'm pretty happy with. I'm just going to use a technique here with the tip of the hot glue gun to give it more of a rough texture instead of the flat, smooth cuts. I'm going to cut out the bottom here to add a little weight. As you can see, this tips over really easy, and the foam is so light, it's kind of useless on the table at this point, so we got to add some weight to it. So I cut out the bottom here, pull out the foam. Then I just put a bunch of glue in there. And then I'm going to put in as many rocks as I can fit in there. Now, as you can see, it doesn't tip over nearly as easy. In fact, I can push this pretty far and it'll still come back. So that makes it a lot nicer on the table with your hands so you don't bump it over. I'm just going to pack that with glue, and I'm going to press that against some parchment paper. And that'll give it a nice sturdy bottom as well as hold in the rocks. And then I coat this piece of Mod Podge. And I paint over it with this pavement color. The pavement color is very similar to the way the Mod Podge looks, but it gives it a more solid, uniform color. And I really like it for dark textured area pieces. And you can see it dries a lot lighter. Then I'm just going to dry brush this with a medium gray. While that finishes up, I'm going to go ahead and start a second piece here. I'm just going to take a little foam core scrap piece here and carve it up into a shape I like for my mushroom base. And I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just going to get the extra paper off here. And I'll use the same technique again to give this a rock look. Just trying to get all those sharp edges rounded down. To make the mushroom tops, I'm going to use some dollops of hot glue here. Just going straight down with them and trying to lift up from the middle so that the glue settles into it to make a perfectly round shape. I'm going to make them of varying sizes. Some big ones, some small ones, just to give it variety. I was impatient waiting for these to dry, so I ran them under the sink, and that cooled them off real quick. So I'm just going to do another technique here of putting the hot glue into water directly to make some base stem pieces for the mushrooms. I made a lot more than I needed just to make sure I can get the shapes that I was after. Then I just poke the hot glue gun into the base of it, and that melts the glue that's already there, and then I attach the stem piece. Pull off that little excess here, and that's already looking pretty cool. I'm just going to melt the other side a bit and then attach it to my base. And you can wipe away the excess glue here, but I kind of like the way it looks. I attached some smaller mushrooms here, and I also attached some smaller mushrooms directly to the base of the bigger mushrooms to look like it's growing from one stalk. And now to protect the foam, I'm just going to add some Mod Podge to that as well. I went ahead and painted this in a light gray, but just to show you the mistake, I thought it was too bright, so I went back to that pavement color I was using before. And I found this neon purple from Folk Art. This is a great color. Any of their neons are great whenever you can use them. I just used this to paint the mushroom caps. And it took 3 or 4 coats to get good coverage. With all this covered, I dry brushed the base with the same medium gray. Then I used an antique parchment white to paint the stems and underside of the mushroom. I thought these two colors went really well together. But of course you could do any color you'd want for this. And I wanted these to have that kind of Amanita look, so I decided to put dots all over the top. Alright, and here's the completed build. Okay, so all in, I think this entire cave build took me about 2.5 hours, including dry times, to get 4 cave pieces and 2 of the mushroom tiles. If you're in a crunch or just have a free evening, these can be an easy and inexpensive build. So the first thought I had when I made these mushrooms is that they'd be pretty fragile, but if you look, they're actually pretty sturdy, and I wouldn't be worried about dropping these or having rough players play with them. Not only would these work really great in a cave setting, but you could also use them as like violet fungus or something as a stand-in mini for that, or you could use them in a forest floor. There's a lot of different uses for this little piece. And the cave pieces, I'm not sure what you'd call them. Pillars are a stalactite and a stalagmite grown together. Pillars. I thought they'd have some kind of fancier name for it. Anyways, these pillars seem like they'll be pretty modular, and it also seems like they would create a pretty dynamic encounter. So there you are, 2 easy builds in one. If you like this video, please share it with your crafting friends or anyone that you want to get into the hobby. For any beginner, this build would be a great place to start. Also, I have set up a Facebook group that you can join and share any of the builds that you've made from any of my videos. If you do, I'd absolutely love to see them. It's also where I like to show some exclusive photos and exclusive builds, and also fun hints about builds I might have upcoming. On the main Scattercraft YouTube page, Channel Art, there's a link to that Facebook group. And also, please do like this video and subscribe, and thanks so much for watching Scattercraft. Bye.